Hey guys, it is November 6th, 2017, which means tomorrow Sonic Forces is coming out. Woo! Except it's not my tomorrow. For me, it's like the day after tomorrow because of being nocturnal and all. So I'll go to sleep, I'll spend the rest of this day, I don't know, doing work and stuff, and then sleep again, and then get up, and then go get forces. I want to try and see if I can figure out a way to live stream Sonic Forces. And I thought that'd be really fun to do like a playthrough live stream thing. So I'm gonna see if I can get that to work. But yeah, I am really excited for this game. I know that the enthusiasm is not present because I'm tired, but I am really looking forward to it. Um, as far as today's activities go, I am working together with someone in the Brony community who's wanting to make a short. Um, if you know Minty Root, the guy who made like Dinky's Destiny and stuff, I'm helping him out with a short currently, and I need to work on some scripting stuff for him tomorrow. So, like I'm working with him on that. Anyway, so I'm probably going to be working on that tomorrow. I did post something today. It was one thing, and unfortunately, if you are not already subscribed to me on Patreon, then you did not get the full post. You should get the full post because it's neat. It was an Author Society comic page that I made this morning, inspired by a conversation with one of my patrons who had proposed a rather fun idea for an Author Society story. The page doesn't have much context, but I think it's really funny, and I had a ton of fun drawing it. I think it looks really cool. I mean, it is just the sketch with some loose shading thrown in, but I think it looks really cool. I had a lot of fun with it. You should totally go and donate on Patreon so you can see the full page. It's only like $1 a month or whatever. Hell, it doesn't even really matter how much you donate. Anybody who donates gets access to all sorts of deleted scenes and just spoilers. Usually what I do is anytime I make something that would constitute spoilers for a series, I usually make that Patreon exclusive content. Um, so I also post finished pages for comics on Patreon in advance before those pages would get released anywhere else. So Stephanie and the Metalloids, which has been in production for a little while, pages of that have been periodically posted up online, which there should be another page of that coming out soon here. Um, those have been going up on Patreon. When the full comic is finished, then it will be released free to read on other websites. But for now, the only way to read it, what is there currently, is by subscribing on Patreon. So I would recommend you do that. Um, Speaking of Stephanie and the Metalloids, if anybody is interested in potentially working with me in trying your hand at inking, then I may be willing to offer a sort of internship, if that makes any sense. I am more than willing to bring people in and have them work on projects with me in return for sort of tutelage. Stephanie the Metalloids already has a colorist as it stands, while she does the shading. So if somebody is interested in like joining in to be the inker for the next issue, then you are welcome to hop on board for that. So you're welcome to sort of, I guess, audition to ink if you like. I'll probably post one of the sketch pages. Words. I'll probably put like a link in the description to a sketch page in the descriptions video, so you can click that and you can go and try your hand at inking that. And I'll put that page next to the inked version so you can see what the ink style for the comic looks like, so you know how to replicate it. They can be done traditionally or digitally. I did them traditionally, but this style doesn't really require that it be done traditional. So it just depends on how you want to do it. I bring up the tutelage thing because while I will definitely pay artists to work with me as much as I can afford to pay them, I can't make a lot of guarantees about wages up front because that's going to depend on how much money we're able to pull in on Patreon. So the more patron supporters I get, the more people I can hire, and the more people I can hire, the more comics and content we can produce. So, yeah, if anyone wants to volunteer to be an inker, then I am welcome to take people in. And Stephanie the Metalloids is one of those projects that if we keep it going, I'm probably going to have subsequent issues. If I get enough money on Patreon, it's probably going to be a comic that I write and manage, but I will probably be hiring on other younger artists to do everything from the illustrations to the inks to the colors, and use it as an opportunity to sort of bring people in and to be able to sort of teach younger artists, to give them work experience and training and whatnot. So I think that would be fun, and I think it'd be a fun project to do that with, especially since the art style is a bit simpler and easier to draw. It's a good, starting project, I think, for artists who are needing some practice. So I think that'll be really cool. Author Society is gonna be kind of a different story because I'm probably gonna be a lot more finicky about that comic, about how it looks. And I have been working on getting the first chapter of that underway. It's just been slow because I've had other commission work that I've had to do lately, and I've been a little bogged down between that and just social events and other stuff going on that's been keeping me from my work for the last week or two. But I am working on that. The first page of Author Society is, god damn it, it is murdering me. It is so hard to do because I wanted to have a really nice establishing shot of the Citadel, and it's so fucking hard to draw these big establishing shots and whatnot. And I'm not really even good at backgrounds to begin with. This is not at all me playing to my strengths in any capacity, but I might very well just finish up the second page and just start running the webcomic from the second page onward and then do that first page after the fact. I know that sounds weird in background words, but in theory, the first page really is just meant to be sort of an opening sprawl introduction to the world. So, I could just jump in on page 2 and the story mostly follows. The point of the first page usually, the point of the first page here is to show some establishing shots along with an opening narration that essentially explains, in very broad, oversimplistic terms, the history of the world. Because Author Society's setting is a really important part of the story. Pretty much every character and every story in the comic is a direct byproduct of its setting. Also, the Author Society, there are a lot of furry comics that don't really bother explaining the existence of furries. They're just there. Author Society is not one such comic. The anthropomorphic characters in Author Society have an explanation and universe for their existence, and it's actually very specific, and the long and the short of it is that they are essentially just modified humans. This is a future where, genetic modification and genetic engineering got really popularized, and the reason there are so many of them has to do with a nuclear war, in which these, modifieds, as my friend has taken to calling them, the modifieds, which are the furry characters, the modifieds had a genetic advantage over normal unmodified humans in that they could survive higher levels of radiation than unmodified. So that's why you see so many of them, is because it's a post-nuclear world and lots of parts of the world are not really habitable for the unmodifieds, or what we also call pedigrees. Albeit in universe, the term pedigree is kind of a slur that's usually meant to make fun of rich people. because most of the unmodified people are people who are wealthy enough to live inside the citadels, which protect them from radiation and all the nasty stuff outside. So yeah, it's like a, post-apocalyptic dystopian cyberpunk story, so its setting is really, really important, and I want to make sure that I do a good job of establishing that. Anyway, that's the 10-minute mark, so I am gonna wrap up for tonight, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Good night.